Okie dokie. Right, so remember the last time that we met, we obviously did some revision, um, and we also went over the slides for our learning unit 4, which was based on regression analysis. Okay, and that's actually what we want to do today. So I'm going to kindly ask if we can turn to our workbooks or work packs, and then if we can do activity 1 together. And yeah, we'll be taking our time with these because I want us to get confident and comfortable with what we are doing in Learning Unit 4. I know you guys' test is Learning Unit 1 to 5, or 3, 4, and 5, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I think we'll start here with our Learning Unit 4. Okay. I think we've also given our colleagues sufficient time to come join us. So I think we can begin right away. Just let me know once you are there, and then we will get into this here. And remember, regression analysis, just a quick recap, because I know since that lecture you guys are probably focused on preparing for your test 1. Remember, regression analysis, we're trying to establish, is there a relationship between two variables? One variable being the independent variable, and the other variable being the independent variable, okay? So let's see what's going on here with activity 1. So in activity 1, they say the purpose is this activity is designed to test all aspects of regression and correlation analysis, as well as interpretations. All right. Task. A travel agency is interested in knowing how airline fares are related to the length of the flight in kilometers. The agency hypothesized that the longer the flight, the more the airfare would be. The following sample data was collected. Okay. So here already, you're seeing they're trying to establish, is there a relationship between the cost of the flight and the distance of the flight? Okay. So the first thing they ask us, identify the dependent and independent variables. Now, when we talk about the independent variable, we're basically saying this independent variable does not perform as a result of the dependent variable. It's actually the dependent variable that is affected by the independent variable. So if we look, the two variables that we have, or the two things we're trying to look into, is that of what? You guys tell me. What are the two things that we're actually looking at in this particular question? Yeah, the kilometers of the flight and the airfare, or the cost of the flight, isn't it? So what would you say depends on the other, or what would impact the other? Would the distance, or should I say, would the cost influence the distance? The cost of the flight, would it influence the distance? She says no, a very big no. Or would the distance influence the cost? The distance would influence the cost, right? Right? So just thinking of it from that perspective, we would then say, okay, that means which one is dependent? Because we said the dependent is the one that actually Yeah, me is the independent variable, or is influenced by the independent variable. Airfare would be the dependent. The cost of my flight will be dependent on how far am I going. If I'm just going to Swaziland, they'll just charge me 1,000. But if I'm going all the way to the UK, chances are they'll charge me more than that because it's a further distance. Okay? So already with this first one, we know our dependent has got to be your airfare or the cost of your flight, and then the independent is obviously then your kilometers. Is it making sense? Okay, so just from discussion, we are establishing that there should be a relationship. But now the real question is there really a relationship? And this is now where our regression analysis comes in. Because now through regression analysis and looking at these different data points, we can establish if there really is a relationship or not. Okay, I hope now we're starting to connect the dots as to what we're doing here with this whole regression analysis story. Okay, so the second thing they ask us to do there is to plot a scatter diagram of the data. Okay, so this shouldn't give you too many headaches. Okay, this shouldn't give you too many headaches, but the whole point now, maybe before we go there to plotting the diagram, remember what we said when we were going through the slides, of course, but if you've forgotten, it's okay. This will be a recap. Your independent variable is the x-axis or the x variable, and then your dependent variable is the y. Okay, and I'm sure we remember from high school, this is typically how we draw our graphs. So now we need to look at the intervals there. So we know this is the y. This is the y. So let's see, we have the lowest is 621. So I think we can start at what? Should we go in hundreds? Maybe 200s. 200s, yeah, I think 200s is good. So of course, with you guys, you can use your ruler so that your graph is more, nice and tidy. But obviously on my side, yeah, it's going to look a bit messy, but I'm sure we'll get the gist. 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200. Okay, and yeah, I think we need to go up to 1,400. Okay, I think we're good on the y-axis. Okay, and here we know this is your airfare. Okay, and then we have our x-axis. All right, and here this is obviously 0. We don't have any negative values, so thank God for that. Let's see, the highest value there we have is 2,000. Let's make it 400. So here, let me maybe move in 500s just to make our lives easy. So 500 over there. Okay. And this is going to be 1,000. 1,500. 2,000. Grammarly must leave us alone. I think we can put 2,500 there. Okay, cool. So now we want to obviously get our scattered plot going. So First coordinates, y value 1330. So that's somewhere over here. And that is for an x value of 2000 something, right? 2375. So that would be somewhere over here. Maybe let me use a different color. That would be somewhere over here. Okay, I'm going to do it as a star, you could say. Then the next one, 1400 on the x-axis. So that's somewhere here. And then 810. So that's somewhere here. Okay. Then the next one would be 750 on the y-axis, and 1250. 1250. So that's somewhere here. That's closer to 1000 actually. Maybe let me put it maybe just by this one there. Okay. Next one, on the y-axis, we've got 1266. So we can be somewhere there. And 2325 on the x-axis. So that's somewhere here. 985. So that's about here somewhere. And then 1100. So somewhere here. Okay, right. Then that is the last one actually. No. I lie. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I skipped one. Ne? Okay, we did this one. I need to do the 900 on the 985 on the x-axis, and then the 621, which we can put somewhere there. And then finally the last one, y-axis 1110. So that would be somewhere in there. And the x-axis is 2025. So that would be somewhere there. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, it's a bit messy, but I'm sure on you guys' side it should be a lot more neater. All right. And remember, the whole regression analysis is about drawing a best fit line. So obviously you would get a line that would go in between those variables or those data points, something like that. And that would be that's actually your regression line. Does that make sense? Okay, are we together? Others are just looking at me like, hey, okay. All right, but that wasn't relevant for your question. I just wanted to bring it home. Okay, so that's our scatter diagram. Is your diagram looking something like that? Okay, so they could very well ask you to draw this. Okay, now here it then says, with reference to the diagram, do you think the travel agency's hypothesis is correct? Why or why not? So do we think that there is a relationship between travel distance and the cost of the air ticket or the airfare? Do you think there is a relationship with reference to the diagram? And you know what? From now on until test 2, guys, we're going to be working together in class. So I'm so proud of you guys. You're not even, I don't even need to ask you about writing down or answering the question. You're just doing that yourself. Okay? But this is how we're going to build confidence and our ability to apply the formulas that have already been given to us in the exam. Okay. And then adjusting also the formulas where need be, because we have seen already that sometimes the formulas actually are not written in the best way for us to obviously easily manipulate and get the right answer. So based on the diagram, remember the hypothesis here is there's a relationship between those two variables. So do you think there's a relationship?
Yes.
You say yes. Why? Based on the diagram. What is the diagram showing you if you believe so?
Because the things that are scattered all over, they like close to one another and that determines the relationship.
Okay.
They hypothesized that the longer the flight, the more the area will be.
Yes.
And that's exactly what our scatter graph shows.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer our flight, the more the area price increases.
Okay.
Minus that one, I don't know what it's doing. Scared of it.
Which one?
The second last point is the last
Second last one.
point.
This one.
The
This one.
225, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that could have just been my drawing. Maybe it's better.
It's the same.
It's the same. Okay. Okay. So you're both 100% right. Remember, we said in the slides, the closer these points are, the more there's a correlation. But 100% also right. Here, this is the airfare price, isn't it? The y-axis. So as you can see, as the distance increases, because we know the x-axis is our distance. And sorry, I didn't actually write that. Okay. All right. As it increases, so does the price of our airfare. Okay. So 100% everything you guys mentioned, but just also include that to say as our distance for the respective flights increase, the price also increases. So that would then obviously be your y. Okay. Just answering yes or no would give you a mark, and then obviously motivating would give you a second mark, depending on how many marks are actually there. And obviously make reference to the graph, because remember they said with reference to the diagram. Yes, ma'am. You should actually have a heading. You should actually have a heading. Okay. What should our heading be?
Flight hypothesis.
Flight hypothesis. So here, what they've actually taken as the heading is FA. Simply that. That's what they have. Okay. Which kind of makes sense because we'll be using the X variable to predict how much our airfare is or our air ticket is. Okay. For question 3, remember we're saying as the distance of the air flight increases, the cost of the airfare or the cost of the ticket also increases. Yeah. You can see that from our diagram. Okay. Right. So that was that. Then the next thing they say, calculate the correlation coefficient and interpret the answer. Calculate the correlation coefficient and interpret the answer. And then we have to ask ourselves, what is the formula for the correlation coefficient? Okay. And there you have it. There's your formula right here. Okay. There's your formula right here. Now, very important, guys. Before you can even use this formula, you need to develop this table here. I thought I had removed it because I wanted us to actually do that calculation. So here we have how many x variables? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Because in the test or exam, chances are you're going to need to do that calculation. So you then have to put in all your x values there, okay? And then also get the sum of each of those columns, okay? Right. So here, immediately you're throwing in this, x values and y values also. You can do it at the same time if you want. Um, 621 and 11110. 2, 3, 2. Okay. So what is the total of those amounts? Can somebody calculate the x and then somebody calculate the y for me there? What is the sum of those values?
X is 10,360.
360. Okay. And then what?
10,360.
10,360. Okay.
And then Y is 5,880 something.
Okay. Right. Okay. Then obviously your xy is your x times your y, right? So we'll say 2,375 times 1,333, sorry, and 30, sorry, and 30. So for the first one, I'm getting times 1,330. And double check if you're getting the same thing. 31,580. Sorry, 875. So that's 305,000, 15,000, sorry. Next one, 1,400 times 810. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Then the last one, 10,360 times 5887. Is everybody getting the same amount as me? Okay, I'll double check that right now. Okay, so let's see. 2,375 times 1,330. Oh, yep. I think I skipped a number there. 158,750. Okay, right? Then obviously here we're saying x squared and y squared. Should I zoom in? If it, this one, 0 at the end.
No, above this,
Above this one. Okay. I'm trusting you. Okay. I know someone is ahead of me. Why aren't you giving us the answers? Hmm? Okay. Do you have the y values? Someone put me out my misery.
So the first one is 1,
Mm-hmm.
7, 6, 8, 9.
Like that, ne?
So the second one is
The second one is?
6, 5, 6, 1.
Okay.
I need to do the experiment.
Yeah, I think so too. You said it's 6?
6, 5, 6, 1.
656 100. here. Is it making sense though? Do you understand what we're doing? Hmm. Those are the totals. The last row is literally the total.
So by X and Y, the total, did you get it by multiplying the 10,000 with the 5,000, or you got it by adding like all the values from X and Y?
It's a very, I think I actually multiplied it.
Because when I'm adding the totals,
You're not getting the same thing.
I'm not getting the same thing, but when I multiply
Mm-hmm.
the 10,000 and 5,000, I get that.
Yeah, we should actually be adding. If I'm not mistaken, you should actually be adding. We'll double check now. We'll have a look also at the, because it's the sum. Remember, it's got that big E.
But if you already have the sum of x and the sum of y, why can't you just multiply them to get what x and y is?
Let's just double check, because if she's adding and not getting the same thing.
She's adding x times y. It doesn't get that's 6.
The column.
Yes.
But I'm saying if you add the sum of all of the x and all of the y, you get 10,000 and 5,000. If you multiply those, it should get you 6.
Yes, that's what I did. But we're saying we need to double check to see if we're actually supposed to add, because remember these two columns we added all these individual amounts, you see. And which is right, because remember it's this whole E on each of these columns, right? Which is the summation, not the multiplication. So that's why I'm saying potentially could be right, but let's just double check, because I do believe we should be adding if we're saying it's the sum. Sorry. I think I squared the wrong amount here. I'm getting the same y squared as my x squared. Is this x squared correct? Two, 3, 2, 5. And what are we getting here as our total? Anybody got the total on the y squared? 3, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7, 6, 9. Okay. Right. And then if I check my xy here, this should also change. So we shouldn't be multiplying there, unless I multiplied by the wrong. Okay. And here, I think I squared the x value just out of habit. 196.396. Okay, cool. So I think let's quickly take our 10-minute break. But what we're then going to do once we get back is we then now need to calculate our correlation coefficient, which is basically applying this formula over here. Okay? Right. Right. Otherwise, let's take our 10-minute break and then we'll proceed with the question at hand. Yeah? What do you want? Oh, these. I'll come back to it now.